I want to share with you just a few words about the current macro conditions discussion board postings. Now that you've had a chance to go through 1 week of those and both see the one that I posted as sort of a guide for the future for you. And also, in some cases, I posted some responses to your postings, oftentimes perhaps asking you to go a bit further. But also just giving you some feedback and maybe sometimes posing questions. So let me open this up. This is the one from this past week. I just did it by thread there. I didn't mean to do that. So different postings that are here. So first of all, one of the things that's important to note is something that's important for the macro economy and something that is, so in other words, something that is relevant for our course. So one of the questions, and one of the things that's useful, if you would put in your title for your thread, what it's about. I've already indicated that to you in a previous announcement, but you can see here that makes it very easy to see at a glance what someone is posting about, whether it's related to something that you've posted about. You'll see that when you make a post that you can only see other people's postings after you have posted yourself. That's intentional. I want you to focus on your own work and what you're looking at and not be influenced by others, but then feel free to comment on other people's posts as well. So idea of full employment, minimum wages, etc. The one of cash versus online, the question about that, it's not whether that's necessarily a good or appropriate or not appropriate post for this course, but what effect does that have on the macro economy, and to what extent does that impact things in the macro economy or not, and overall for employment, for real GDP, for inflation, etc. All right. So you'll see that I have one up here as well, right? Everybody's got theirs posted here. So my example posting includes the title, the date, and the link. I would like you to follow that process in your own postings going forward. And then a relatively comprehensive, but yet not too long. It's a little bit longer maybe than the 4 to 5. I didn't count. I wasn't keeping count of exactly how many sentences are here. Maybe it ends up being between 5 and 10. Depends on the length of the sentences, obviously. And I want to make sure that you are reporting on what's in the article that you are summarizing, right? Rather than speculating and adding something that perhaps isn't there, speculating beyond that, but rather really focusing on what's in the article and what the economist had to say in that article. And in this case, for example, this is about U.S. household income rising, and as well as savings. And so that has implications. It's not that you can't extend beyond what the article is, but it should be directly related to the article and be consistent with the article. So in this case, income is rising at the end of the year, partly due to different federal policies and different policies and different kinds of practices that have been put into place, and programs that have been put into place and that have increased household income. But at the same time, savings rose, meaning that consumer spending may have not increased the same rate as that income has gone up. And so there's a lot of saving sitting out there in the macro economy. When the economy turns around, it may sort of unleash in a pretty extensive consumer spending, yet to be seen. But that's a question. And that's one that policymakers need to keep in mind when they're thinking about a stimulus bill. And also the Federal Reserve needs to keep in mind when they're thinking about monetary policy and interest rates. So I want you to be as complete as possible without being too long. There's an art and a skill to that. It comes with practice. And I suggest that you write things out in a Word document. First, make sure that you've got correct grammar, you've got correct spelling at a minimum, and that you're covering what's actually been covered in the article. It looks for the most part that most people have picked articles that are quite relevant for the course. So you can look at mine. It's not a perfect one either, but it's an example that will give you some guidance as we go forward. There's learning that happens on the very first one. They'll be a little more lenient on that. I'll provide a rubric to you as well that may help you in terms of thinking about this even more clearly. But you can use this as a guide. And I look forward to your contributions throughout the semester. Again, the point of this is to build up an understanding of the current situation in the economy, so that later on in the course, after we've developed our model, we can apply that model to the economy. How does it explain what's going on? And also, how does it help us predict what might happen over the next 6 months? That's what you're going to need to do in the macro briefing report at the end of the semester. So all these things are tied together in the course to help you really connect both the theory and the data, as well as what's going on day to day in the economy.